This is awesome to see everybody. I think this is a group that I wasn't planning on spending a lot of time on sort of like entry level stuff, hoping to maybe do more things on template construction. I wanted to first just kind of start out though with templates and kind of let everybody know just some of the vocabulary I think can get kind of confusing. So I thought I would kind of start with that. Reed actually mentioned the other day, like, oh, I might build a template for, split levels and a template for this. And it really helped me understand that, like, it's easy to say template, but it's hard to understand exactly what it means. So I thought I would first start by like describing and defining what we think of as the template. So obviously, when we're into template construction, hopefully you guys know that you can see those whenever you hit save report template. And this is where you would go save the template and you'd have an opportunity to rename it. And this is the spot you could make a number of different templates. And you see those if you go to start a new report from the home page, or you create from template right up here. When you click that, this would give you an opportunity to see your various templates available to you. I'm going to, over this course of this Zoom, I'll try to explain some improvements we're going to make around this that I think will really help make templates a lot more useful, and it'll be easier to build multiple templates. But anyway, this is where you see them. Another thing that's come up a lot when you guys see this slide is at the moment we do not have a way to delete templates. And that is intentional. You're always welcome to email Steve and just ask him to delete some of your templates. You would need to tell him specifically the ones that you want deleted. If everybody keeps wanting it, we can add a delete button. But there are people that have hundreds, if not thousands, of hours into their templates, and we're sort of trying to build something where like you can't delete it by accident. So it's an intentional thing that we don't have, it's just trying to like save us all from serious pain. So
you'd have to make one of those series of, are you sure? Are you really sure?
Yeah, are you absolutely sure? And then like a nuclear, mushroom cloud.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
and then a recovery period. You get 30 seconds to oops.
Yeah. And that's right. We do have that. So anyway, maybe we'll do something like that. It is.
I don't know. I like the way that you have it.
Well, and we also think, to Lisa's point, like multi-inspection firms, gosh, what if you have like a guide that's new and they're playing around with it and you lose this valuable thing? And, we may be able to recover data, but obviously that's just stressful and something we're wishing to avoid. So at the moment, you can't do that. And we're sort of, ear to the ground thinking about it, but we kind of like it like this in a way because it's safer.
And Steve is so responsive and just takes care of things so readily that I 100% agree, because I have 4 inspectors out there and I don't want them deleting each other's work.
Yeah. So that's obviously, so anyway, but here you can see this is the group that I will explain why, but I pretty much only use a residential template. I'll unpack that a little bit in a little bit. So what is a template? It is an interesting question. I started a blank report. And I called this one Meetup. I put it up in the client name. This is a brand new feature, but I love this. This used to say report up here, and the default is report. But you see where I'm highlighting it now says Meetup. It'll say the client name up here. And that just helps you know which report you're working on, which is one of those little things that I actually think is a huge improvement. So I love that. We actually have a new coder right now who's really helping us get caught up on a lot of cleanup stuff like this. We also recently added another button so you can save your template right here. So it's the same thing as the one on the home page, but it's just always available to you. So either the floppy disk or this guy will save a template. But really quick, I want to unpack what is a template. We think of the template as the structure, the bones, the skeleton of the report. And it is the following things are saved. The names and sequences of all these chapters over here is what is saved in a given template. So if you wanted a different group of names and sequence, you could make a different template.
What do you mean by name?
Decks, porches, and balconies.
Okay, okay.
You know, the
All right. So
title.
the labeling of the chapters.
That's correct. Yeah,
okay.
the labeling of all the chapters, the sequence of all the chapters, and then within each chapter, the labeling and the sequence of all the sections, and the labeling and the content in all the pull downs, the descriptive pull downs. In addition, the shortcuts that we build are all part of the template. So the things I'm highlighting here that are in a sort of cursive font, I would consider these part of the template, because while they connect to library items of pre-made narratives, they're really something I built into my particular template as a quick way for me to organize and access my narrative library. That makes sense, guys? So
Yep.
to us, that's what we're thinking of as template. It's kind of the bones and the structure and the shortcuts. That's kind of the template. And that is to be distinguished from, when I'm going to toggle over on the top, we're going from the report into the library. And the library is, you could have, we only support a single library, and you could connect that library to any number of different templates. Does that make sense? So you have a library full of narrative comments. You could create it, you can make it as big and as detailed as you like. And you can then, and I'm going to show you guys how to do this in a little bit. You can connect, you can organize your narrative library into groups of comments, and then you connect those groups of comments to different sections within your report. Is that basic like structure of how ScribeWare works? Is that kind of helpful to you guys? Makes sense.
And that connection is in the templates. Those specific connections are in the templates.
Well, both things, but yeah, the connections are in the template and the organization happens in the library. So let's look at the library and then we'll go back to the template, Alex. The library up at the top here, we have a global search. So because I have no chapters selected, no sections selected, I could do a global search, you know, GFCI. It's going to search through my entire library, everything, looking for any comment that has GFCI in it. You can see it took a little while because it had a lot of stupid stuff to sift through. But here are all my GFCI comments. Well, now let me select chapter up here, and I'm going to select exterior siding and doors. No results found. Well, that's because I don't have any GFCI comments in my exterior siding, doors, and windows chapter. That makes sense? If I switch this over to electrical distribution and finish, now I get all my GFCI comments are back. And then you can also get more granular. You can get into the section. So we could look at ceiling fans. I don't have any GFCI comments in ceiling fans. If we go in receptacles and fictors, obviously that's where all my GFCI comments live. So that's how these sort of search functions work at the top of the library, and that can help you kind of manage and sort through your library. So we also have a new thing called the library category, and where you see that is these three little dots up at the top here. And when you click on that, this is where all the library categories are. This is really cool and kind of amazing, and we've got some brand new features that'll help organize this stuff. But this came about because we were bringing in a lot of people's libraries from like HomeGauge, for example, and when you import a library from another system, you can't get the things to connect because everybody's got different chapters and sections and stuff. So everything gets out of sequence and unorganized. And we needed a tool where somebody on the back end could go through and organize it. So our lead man, Steve, came up with the idea that's really pretty brilliant. He said to me, well, you don't necessarily need to have a section of kitchen sinks. You might have a category of narrative comments about sinks, and you might use that category of comments for kitchen sinks, for bathroom sinks, for laundry sinks, for shop sinks, for bar sinks. I mean, it makes sense, right? You can organize the narratives in a group and then be able to point that group of narratives to multiple different places. That makes sense? And so that's the idea of these library categories. So here you can see my categories that are not as organized as I would like them, but I have service permits found for the electrical service. I have 4 entries. Electrical bonding, I have 15 entries. I can click that, and now I'm kind of back in the library. This should look kind of familiar. I should have 15 comments here. And this is really cool where that you see the orange or the blue. That means I have narrative comments that are actually connected to a pull down. Like one of those check boxes or a descriptive pull down. It means I've got a connection here.
So this has superseded the GFCI on the far left. Like those searches are no longer.
Yeah, that is interesting. I think it's because of how I got to it, and this stuff was just kind of sitting there. So it does seem like it superseded it because I went in from that back end. I think probably the reason why is that we're in the library category supersedes those. We're now in the electrical bonding category. So while that's still written up there, it's kind of like dead, if that makes sense, because we're not in that category.
At this point, you're not able to enter anything into the library, but you can delete what we see on this, or any portion of what we see on the screen.
So you could enter by adding new with the plus mark up here, Reed. That's an awesome question. So this is a backdoor way, like you could say, oh, I'm going to add some to my electrical bonding. You can hit plus. Under library category, you would want to choose it, right? So that make sure that it's in electrical bonding right here. And then you could give it a label, new bonding comment, and then you could give it a modifier, repair item. I'm just making something up really quick here. New bonding comment, gas pipe, right? And we can add as a new library entry. And that should be in here somewhere. It probably went to the bottom, but
I think it goes right to the top.
Yeah, to go to the top. Yeah, there you go. So there's the new comment. Now, if we want to delete that comment, we can now check that box, and you can come up here and delete. What is really cool about cleaning up a messy library is like my library is a complete mess, and I apologize because you guys have a bunch of my mess, and there's some good stuff in it, but it's not. I'm too busy to make it polished and perfect like it ought to be. You could now go through and delete stuff. So you could check multiple ones. We could go down to the bottom, and there might be.
Is there a sequence in which those are appearing? Is that like based upon frequency of use or what?
That's a question for Steve, but I do think that the ones you use most will show up at the top. So let me just finish showing this. When you check that, it's green. I can come up here. I could delete it, but I could also do other things. This is really cool. I could move this comment somewhere. So I can hit that, and I could select a library category that I want to move it to. So if I wanted to, I could move this new bonding comment into attic insulation.
So that's how we clean up something that we brought over from HomeGauge, which is all kerflooey.
That's exactly it, Alex.
Okay.
And it's really cool because you could go through and you could check like 30 of them,
right?
And you could move them to different places. And you can. I think this one will move it, and then this one will copy selected items. So let's say you have a group of GFCI comments and you want them in your electric receptacles, but you want to make a new library category called garage wiring problems. You could go through your electrical stuff, grabbing those, and then copy them and move them from electric receptacles and fixtures into a new library category called garage wiring problems. That makes sense, guys? This is really hard stuff. You imagine the effort we put into like figuring out how to make this work. When
you scroll down, when you hit the down arrow in library category, from there, can you add a new library category?
The library categories, I think you always have to add those from not from this side. This is where you add the new library categories right here. Okay. So this is the screen you would want to be seeing to add a new library category. And again, call it, garage wiring problems. So we really, I mean, this is to me just super cool. There's a complete new level of an ability to move narratives where you want them into different sections, to delete them, to share them, to cull through them.
And you can also search from here too and enter them from right in this
Up
point.
top.
That is correct. I believe there's a search up here. I assume this search might just be for
Categories.
like the actual category. I don't think this search from when you're in this screen, Blaine, I think the search is just for the different categories you've created. And so
Right.
again, the global library search, you would, let's say we wanted to go back. I want to delete this one because we were just playing with it. So I'm going to delete that. But right now, as Alex was so astute to point out, GFCI electrical service bonding system, that doesn't mean anything because the library category is sort of superseding it. But if I delete that category and make that blank, now I'm back into my global library search. And does that make sense?
Yeah, but if you got rid of the elements and you just left them alone, could you go into the bonding and just, you know, scroll through your library categories and see, okay, I got 5 comments here. I think I'm going to look at it this way and try to, you know, extricate what I need out of here.
That's right. I mean, this is a good place to really kind of, the library categories is a great place to go searching and seeing, okay, I've got 28 crawl space ventilation comments. Let's go look at those. Boom, now I've got those 28 comments. A way to start culling and knowing the good stuff from the bad stuff is that all of my narratives that are newer have a dark blue, you know, label on them. If we go to the bottom, there might be some really old ones that I don't know where the heck. I mean, here's a bunch of things that are just like nothing, you know, and I could just go through and just delete those just to start cleaning it up. And this is what I really desperately need to do to my own template. I'm so busy doing home inspections and things like this that I haven't had time to fiddle with my template as much as I'd like. But you can see some of these are actually connected to 2 different fields, right? So I have these connected in multiple places.
So you got to go over and hit save template on the lower left now to save the deletion of those 3 things.
No. So remember, that's an awesome question, Alex. Remember, the library management is completely separate from the template. They're 2 different things. The organization of your library, like all the different narratives, you don't really need to save those as your template. So that's a great question. Like you could spend a whole bunch of time on your library and you do not need to hit the save template. The only part of the library and the template that are related, if we go back into the group, are these types of things, like all of these little pull downs. And even up here, like if my asbestos cement tile siding, that is a descriptor. And as soon as I click it, it's blue and it tells me I'm going to get a descriptive comment coming up with it. The fact that that comment shows up when I click asbestos cement, that is part of the template, right? That's like brains of the template saying, as soon as you check that little thing that says asbestos cement, go find me the comment and put it up there.
So if we didn't want to have that specific comment at all showing up, do we have to get rid of it in the library?
Well, if you, that would be if you never wanted to use this comment ever, let me delete it and I'll show you again. If you never wanted to use it again, come up here and under these 3 buttons, remove from library, and that comment will just disappear. You'll never have it again. And once you do that, I would imagine, I haven't done this, but that asbestos cement would go from blue to a black font because it wouldn't have anything to connect to any longer.
Okay.
It would be homeless.
But if you want to clean up the look of everything, you then go to those 3 buttons on the upper right of siding and trim and remove that from that list, because then you have all this extraneous stuff you don't want to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, let's say you, so these are 2 different questions. One is, I don't want a narrative attached, and you could simply just delete that narrative from your library entirely. The other option is you want to keep that narrative, but you don't want it attached. And the way that you would do that is a little bit trickier. You would edit the section here. So, right, these 3 dots are available at the top of every section, and you can edit the section. And when it's green, everything is good for editing. So we would go under the siding material, and this is the one we're talking about, asbestos cement, and we don't want that anymore. So what we're going to do is this suggested observations down here. You guys see that one?
Yeah.
This is one of the ways that you can connect comments. So you would hit asbestos cement, you would go next, and then this is where it's checked, and you would uncheck it, right? And then you'd hit save, and now you would have preserved this comment should you want it later, but it would no longer be connected to to that. It wouldn't be blue anymore. That makes sense.
So back us out of there. We start at the edit section.
Yeah, I'm going to walk you through it one more time. So we're in any section. You come up to the 3 dots. You're going to edit the section. Then you're going to go under siding materials where we want to mess with this. Now, the other thing that got brought up is maybe you want to get rid of, one of these entirely. I mean, you could just come in here and I'm going to cut it because I want to paste it back in, but you could just delete it, right? If you want to clean it up, if you never see, for example, asphalt composition as siding, which is always such a joy to see as siding, but we do see it out here. If you wanted to get rid of it, which it should be gotten rid of, in my opinion, you could just delete it. Okay, Reed. So then the next thing, this is the thing, you guys, this is how I connect my pull downs to narratives, suggested observations all the way. Let's look at this whole thing because there's a lot of cool stuff you can do here. If you, for example, wanted the first thing in the list, aluminum, to always show up, you can check this and use that as a default value. And what that would mean is that every time you create a new report, under siding material, aluminum would be the default. So that would be weird in siding because it makes no sense. But under trim, you could click this little thing and you could make wood the default material for trim. And that would save you the step of having to check the box for wood every time, right? I want to pause right here.
I'm liking that.
Yeah, so it's cool, but let me explain the one pitfall of that. And that's how I used to have a lot of things. So, I mean, a really great example in my template is I always used to have under wall and ceiling materials, I had drywall. I mean, you almost never see a house that doesn't have a little piece of sheetrock somewhere, right? So why not make that the thing that's always there? Here is the reason why. If we were to preview this right now, let's see. Can you guys see the blue Orca stuff coming up here?
Yep.
It's a little slow.
Yeah. We go into full report. What's the one thing that now shows up in this report? Drywall. So remember I said I don't like to use a lot of different templates. I'd like to use one template, and I can use one template for everything that I do now. And part of what I love is if someone hires me to come out and do a roof inspection, I can just fill out the roofing bit. Nothing else in my entire template will print. So if I do a condo interior only inspection, I just ignore the structure. I ignore the grounds. I ignore the exterior and siding. And I just fill out what I want to fill out. So if I made wood trim the default trim, then my template would be less flexible for an interior only condo inspection. Does that make sense, guys? So I actually worked really hard. I'm very proud of it because I love that when I print a blank report, there is nothing in it. And to me, that says like I'm fully writing a report just for the house that I'm doing. But my technique has some disadvantages, and that is speed, right? You could make these default values of sheetrock and wood trim and carpeting as flooring and whatever you feel like if you always see these different things. Is that good so far, guys? You picking that up? All right, so let's go back into exterior. And I want to unpack. I'm going to make it green again, the 3 dots. Every section has the 3 dots. So we're going to edit section. And I want to open up one of these. We're going to go to our siding materials. So this panel is a really cool place. That's where you set the default values that you can do. This is where you can make inspector only notes, don't show and report. So these are things that I use. This is how I build these little shortcut things, the things that are in italics. So another one of the things that I'm very proud of is that for the most part, when I started all this, I wanted to never have a checkbox in my reports. It didn't feel like what I wanted. I wanted it to feel more narrative. And I've actually come around. I actually have a few checkboxes now, but all of the checkboxes you see in my template are not designed to show in the finished report. And you can tell them because they're in italics to be distinguished from these guys in bold that are the script, the things that will show up in the report if you fill them out. Does that make sense? Now, if I check this box, localized route repairs needed, the narrative will show up in the finished report, but the italicized part of it will not. That makes sense? So this is just, Alex called these your shortcuts. And I was like, yeah, that's what they are. They're just quick shortcuts. So one thing that everybody could do is think about what are your greatest hits? What are the like 5 things that you write, the narratives you use in each section? And that's kind of what I've tried to do. Most of my sections have anywhere from 2 or 3 to 5 things that, localized route repairs needed. I just used this morning and I go, boom. I drag in a bunch of pictures, and then I can use my photo captions to bullet feature, and I have a little list, and I'm on my way. It's awesome. I'll show you guys that if you want to in a minute. But right now I want to focus on template stuff, not writing a report. This is just all template construction. Now, the other thing that I've done is under common observations, if you click this guy, again, this is in italics, so none of this is going to show up in the report. I wanted to build back the old kind of logic tree of being able to find my narrative comments. So, what are all my fiber cement comments? I can click on this and all of these will link to a different narrative. So old fiber cement repair is feasible, older details that are not worth correcting, gutters too close to the siding, penetrations missing mounting blocks.
So as we create a comment about fiber cement siding, does it get put into that common observations?
No. So if you make a brand new observation, you can find it using the keyword search.
Yeah.
So let's do this. We'll make a brand new observation, right? We're going to add a new comment to our library. I'm just going to call it new siding comment for today. All right, so we've got a new siding comment. Let's go in. You've got 2 ways to add this new narrative to your library. You can add it to the library and it'll just, boom, it's there. Or you can edit in the library. And the reason I like edit in library is you can label it and give it one of these blue labels.
Right.
So you might even, if you're messing with my library some and starting to intertwine things and you want to know, hey, this is a comment that Lisa authored, this is her comment. You might give yourself a little something like that, right? Your initials or something. And then new siding comment. These blue labels are visible only to the home inspector. These are not visible to the client. So this is a great way to distinguish your comments from my comments.
Okay, so with your comments, common comments, that only does us any good if your comments are what we want to use.
Right. That's correct. And here's how those will be useful to you, Reed. I'll show you that in just a minute here. So, okay, so we're adding a new comment here. We're going to add as a new library entry. Just hit yes. And now we've got our little title. We've got our new comment for today. So we can pull this up with the keyword search, right? I used the word today because I figured I don't have. Oh, that's funny.
All right, starting with LM.
Oh, yeah, that would help.
That's what I've been doing hours and hours and hours. You're on to me.
Yeah, Lisa's on it, right? See how that little initial really helped you guys? Lisa's totally right. I added that. So then I actually had all these things that said today in my library, which I'm surprised at. But anyway, LM today, boom, there's my comment. So I retrieved it. So the keyword search is universally available whenever. And so those little blue ways are a great way for you to pull up your comments. So there, now when Reed was asking about, you know, common observations, this is something, what I built here is part of the template. I built this, like this doesn't happen automatically. So you can either add to this list, or what I was really hoping you can do with it is most of you will have similar comments, but you might want to change them slightly. So here, let's just take, for example, that the fiber cement is too close to the soils. I'm going to check that, right? So I just brought up this comment that fiber cement too close to soils. If you don't like this narrative and you want to replace it with your own narrative, you could cut this, mess with it, put in new language. Then you could come up here, you could edit in library, and you might give it a little initial, right, to let you know that you've messed with it. All right, and then you would hit update existing library entry. By updating that existing library entry, you are keeping that connection that I built, that fiber cement siding is too close to the soils, but you are adding your own language to it. Does that make sense?
So now we start to build a common observation resource that more reflects our own verbiage.
That's correct. I mean, think of it as what I built is a connection between a descriptor, penetrations missing at mounting blocks, and a narrative. That connection exists in the template. You could rewrite the library entry that shows up and just hit update library. The connection will still be saved, but you will have new language that pops up when you check that box.
Okay.
The LM comment today that you just made, show us how to pull that up under fiber cement, for instance.
Under fiber cement. Oh, like how to place that there? So a new one?
Well, like if you hit common observations and then you go down to fiber cement, you have all that stuff in orange.
Yep.
How can you put the
a new
LM
one here?
Comment?
Yeah. Okay. Let's add that. So we will do that right now. So we're going to edit the section. All right. We're going to go under common observations. So we're going to hit our little pen. We're going to go down to fiber cement. And at the very bottom, you can put it wherever you want.
It's not up there yet. Okay, there we go.
You can hit, we're going to hit LM, new comment. And we will hit save, and that, watch, we'll go back in it now. Oops, sorry, I went to the wrong place. So now we have this new thing. Notice that it's black. It's not connected to anything, right? We have LM new comment. So we've got a new pull down, but we don't have it connected to a narrative. So who wants to be the one to tell me what you're going to use to connect it to the narrative?
You got to highlight it?
Suggested observations. Right? Down here.
But is it highlighted? How does suggested observations know it's going to that comment?
Watch.
Oh, you do it there.
Suggested observations. Now I go through the whole list, right? So I go down to LP or fiber cement siding. Here's the thing, LM, new comment. So now it knows which one it wants to connect to. And you hit next, and we can do the search. So we're going to hit LM. There's our comment. Add to report automatically. Now we save that. Now that guy turns orange, and we now have a new connection added. So we go under common observations, we go down in our fiber cement, and we go boom, new comment, and we get it.
This is exactly what I wanted to learn, Dylan, and it's
awesome.
Going so fast.
This was everybody thank Alex. I think this is great. He was like,
it's going so fast. I'm like, how am I going to remember all this?
Well, we're recording it.
Okay.
Yeah.
TJ
awesome.
needs to get in.
Thanks, Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Alex.
You're welcome.
Because I've done so much work already, and this was one of the things where I got to figure out how to make these. So I'm very happy about
So there is another way that you can connect pull downs to narratives. I have not used this way very much because it messes with my head, but Charles Buell came over to ScribeWare because he used to use an Excel spreadsheet. And so he had like these perfect lists of all the defects and all the comments. And so his idea was, if you make the words line up, so it's really hard to even describe because I don't do this. Let's go under electrical. I have one section built like this, and I might be able to show it. I'm pretty sure. So nails penetrating panel, I pull that up. So you see how this says common panel defects, hyphen nails penetrating panel. See how these two things are exactly the same?
Mm-hmm.
That way I don't need to use that suggested observations box. It picks that up. Does that make sense? So it's smart. It went through and it said, if I can make so the first part, common panel defects, well, that's this part right here. And then the next part is nails penetrating panel. And I managed to make my blue label fit what this thing perfectly. And if the trick with this is you can't get like, even like a period, an extra space, it won't remember it. It's got to be exact. But you can get these two things to line up and then it'll just automatically remember it. Isn't that cool? Does that make sense? I mean, it's kind of.
So you're saying that you don't have to highlight it. You don't have to go through that process as long as you can find the paragraph and put it under as just a black entry that exactly matches your.
That's correct. Let me walk you through it. We'll try to do it with this one here, and let me see if I can show you how I did it. So we're going to edit it. We're going under common panel defects. And what we're looking at, like physical damage, nails penetrating panel. So I was able to use, in the title of my comment, I used common panel defects hyphen, where is it? Nails penetrating panel. Now I'm going to come in here. I'm going to get rid of the L here. I think I'm going to lose it now. See how that's no longer orange?
Yeah.
That's because I did not build a manual connection using suggested observations. I used the keyword. That makes sense. So now I want to fix it. I'm going to go back. I'm going to edit my section. I'm going to go under common panel defects. I'm going to go under nails penetrating panel. I'm going to put my L back. I'm going to hit save. I got it back.
Can you click on the edit button under most common observations?
Under these ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
After you've done can you click on because I can't get mine to go across. They're all vertical.
So what you've been doing, I believe, Alex, is adding multiple ones. And see how I'm just stacking these all up under one thing. So I have a field name, most common observations, and then these are all of my different checkboxes. Whereas I think what you've been doing is you keep adding new down here and making a whole new one. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that is.
So you can add new, you can add a whole new group, but within each thing, most common observations, I could make a list that's like 1,000 long if I wanted to, right?
Okay, so I need to label them.
Alex. Man,
sorry.
We had the same one. You just keep nailing these. It's great.
Awesome. This is great, guys. I'm glad this is helpful.
I've never been shy of asking questions, so I'm just going to keep throwing them out.
I want to show you one other thing that you can do. So you see how under common panel defects, I'm using this logic tree, right? And the logic tree to me are these arrows. It's like, okay, physical damage. Well, what do we have? Nails penetrating, corrosion, general note, corrosion noted on one circuit, corrosion on bus bar. So that's to me kind of the logic tree, and you can keep going with these. So let me just show you what that looks like in the back end here. We're going to edit section. We'll go under common panel defects. See how I have tabbed these in? And I choose to use 5 spaces. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now it's even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I tab it in 5 spaces. That's what gives me the arrow so that I can get that logic tree pull down to keep going. You guys with me on that?
Mhm.
So if
Can you
you
use a
didn't,
tab key?
I believe you can now. You couldn't at one point. Hey, John.
How are you?
Yeah, it looks like the tab is working now to get you, so you could tab them over. Yeah,
so it can be any amount of spaces, just that they're indented.
that's correct. And
Okay.
I like 5 because it's offset just enough that I can manage it.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to.
Yeah, yeah. This is where like Charlie's template goes crazy. He has like layers on layers on layers. It just goes on forever. It's pretty cool. And then you see here on the back end this difference, right? What makes this an inspector only note versus this guy that's bold is all on this back end, right? It's right here. Inspector only notes don't show in report. Now, if I wanted to, I could display all of these inspector notes as checkboxes. So we'll hit save. And now all of my common panel defects are all these checkboxes. That's a little mind-numbing to look at, so I don't do it like that. So let's edit it again. We're going to come in here and not display as checkboxes and hit save. And now it looks at least mildly more accessible. Right? Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Some other things in here that you can do when we edit the section and we're in one of these, show checkboxes in report. So remember I said for the most part, I'm really pleased that I don't have checkboxes in the report, but I do for my carbon monoxide and smoke alarms. I find it so maddening trying to remember whether I saw them in all the bedrooms and on each floor, and like it's just so hard. And so I'll show you what I did there. I actually wanted the checkboxes in the report. So if you go into electrical and we'll go to smoke and carbon monoxide, these checkboxes are not behind italicized things, but they're behind bold things. So these are going to show up in the report. And let's look at this section because there's different ways you can do this. I am displaying as checkboxes, and I'm showing as checkboxes in the report. And then you can include unchecked items if you wanted to. Does that make sense? So all of the options could print in the report, and then you would see which ones were checked and which ones remained unchecked. Or you can show only the checkbox items in the report, the ones that you've actually clicked on, and the other ones remain hidden, essentially. There's one final thing that is really cool on this back end, and it's down here. So remember the one that our honey hole is suggested observations that links our narratives to pull downs, but there's this other one, default descriptions. So if you wanted, for example, to have like the way a lot of softwares work is, the top of electrical, you would have a whole pre-made CYA thing that sits at the top of every chapter. You could do that. So let me just show you. We'll come up here and we're going to hit a blank section. We're going to add a blank section. So that shows up here. If I want to resequence that, I'm going to come over here and now it's at the top. Boilerplate CYA. I love that I don't need to use these in my report. So I'm happy to like verbally spar with anyone over whether we should do these or not. But I'm just showing you how you can do it if you want to. So let's add a new comment up here, and we're going to call it, we'll use a descriptor. This is the description thing here, and we're going to say, all right. We'll use a little spell check. Oh, responsive. All right, so we will add this to the library. Now, this is interesting, and arguably a little bug that I think we need to make better. I've added this from a blank section. So what we ought to do is go see, let's edit this section. Remember library categories that we were talking about? I want to see what I don't think there's any library categories associated with this right now. So what we might want to do is add a new library category, and we'll call it electric CYA. So we're adding a new category now, right? So now we want, oops, edit library category. So we want to go to electric, and we could use that search. There it is, electric CYA. I'm going to check that box, and I'm going to hit update library category. What that means is we have now connected that library category to this section in the template.
So you did connect that library section to that part of the template. So now do you have to hit save template?
Now you would hit save template. That's correct. We're doing template work now, not just working on our narratives. That's correct, Alex. And now I want to save this. So now when I hit add to library, it should have now, let's view the library. We've got the one comment here, right? Because I created a brand new library category. There was nothing in it until I just saved this comment. And now we've got, I'm not responsible for anything. It's not my fault. Right in our brand new library category. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
I know this complicated, but this is also like all of this ability to customize so much stuff. Okay, so we're really trying to get to this one place where I'm going to make this show up every time I make a brand new template. I can make this descriptive thing show up. So watch how we do that. We're going to edit this section. Oops. Oh, I know what I need to do. We're going to edit the section. We're going to add new. Electric CYA. Default comment, add field. Oops.
Add field.
Yeah, Dylan, can you slow down a little bit? You're moving faster than it's.
Yep, I'll do it again. I'm gonna delete it and start over. Okay, so you're in this. We're gonna build some new stuff here. So boilerplate CYA. We're gonna come up here. We're gonna edit the section. We're gonna add new. We're going to give it a field name, and we'll call this electric CYA. And actually, what you can you can do this in a lot of different ways, but so then down here is where you add the field, right? So boom, we just created a new field. But now I'm going to edit it again, and I'm going to hit default descriptions down here. And I only have one description. Now remember, to make this default description, you have to use the description modifier.
Okay, so not repair and not major.
That's correct. The only way to set it as a default is to use the description modifier. That's why when I built this one, I made it a descriptive comment.
Okay.
I think I have that set. Let's see. See how now that's just automatically showing up? So every time that would show up. Now, what I don't like here is we have electric CYA showing up, and you might not want that. So I think how you do that, we edit it again. I think you can even get rid of this. That just, you don't even need that field name, and we're going to save it. So now it will show up and it'll read really nicely in the report. You won't actually see that little line up there, and it'll just say, yes. This makes sense, guys? Yeah. I'm recording this so you can rewatch it.
Yes, please.
I know. I mean, it's hard. We really, I think this is a very easy, intuitive thing to use. But at the end of the day, we built enough features in now where you can completely build your own logic. I mean, this is almost like software where you are coding it, right? You're like building all this stuff. So there is unfortunately a slight inevitable complexity around this stuff that I wish could make it easier. But
well, you know, the way I'm doing it is as I get good at the basic of what I was starting, entering all of Lance's favorite comments. Now that I've gotten so good at that, I'm ready to move up and do things like this, like add pictures or add diagrams or, you know, do this type of stuff. So this is great, kind of next
awesome.
level.
No, I think Alex was in a similar position, and that's why I wanted to focus on this kind of stuff. He was able to get it up and running and usable, but wanted to really start getting at the template creation and all the shortcuts. And Alex, just to clarify, I think one thing you were doing is if we edit section here, you just kept adding new every time you wanted to do a new thing.
That's correct, because I put everything in the big box, not the field name.
That's right, and you can just keep adding all these things down in the field name, and that'll help you with that quite a bit.
Because the first one I put in was an issue. It wasn't, you know, you wrote common defects in yours, so I need to write something like that. You know, Alex's most used comments, and then do it
correct. That's okay. Exactly what you should do. Yeah. Right. And it's interesting. Charlie's approach, if you look at like my common panel defects here and all these, Charlie's approach to report writing is pretty fascinating. He exposes all of this. And what that means, why it takes a long time to write a report, is it's sort of forcing you through the rabbit hole of like, what are all the possible things that could be wrong here? Whereas that just takes too long. And so I built a shortcut for it down here where if you don't want to look for common panel defects, you don't have to. I mean, it's just sort of sitting there. It's available if you want to look at them, but you don't have to. But, you know, you might think to yourself, I wonder, like lugging, you know, what's going on? And like, well, here's some double lugged, you know, different lugging comments and stuff. And you know, the library could be way more fleshed out than it is. I could have triple lugged, and you can go on and on. That gets us to something I did want to talk about a little bit here, and that is something I've only just started to fiddle with, is the text replacement. So let's go to exterior stairs. We're going to edit. Well, we don't need to edit this section. Actually, I'll just show you here. Under guardrails and particularly graspable handrails, I used to have all these different comments. And by used to, I mean like a day ago. You know, graspable handrail rotted, graspable handrail loose, graspable handrail no returns to walls, graspable handrail missing, graspable handrail incomplete. So I got sick of, you know, so I had like freaking 6 narratives that all said almost the same thing, right?
So more than that.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's infuriating. It drives you crazy. So now I tried to have just a single narrative: graspable handrail, missing, incomplete, loose, ... required when 4 or more stairs. So there's my blue bit. And then I'm using the text replacement. So the graspable handrail for the entry, and I can actually modify this. Watch this. So I'm going to get
this. I need to learn too how to do.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm going to show you right now. So we'll bring it back up again. Graspable handrail. So I love how they're bright yellow. They're really hard to miss now. So we're going to go in and edit this. So we're going to put the cursor right around it. And this is the magic button for this, this guy here with the brackets around it. Guys, all see that one? Amen. Hallelujah. You got it?
Yeah.
Here's my list. Now, this is what's also cool. I could allow multiple selections.
Big lag here.
So when I hit multiple selections, now I can hit and, or, then as a break between. So now I can say the graspable handrail is missing for the exterior deck and the back deck and the entry. Does that make sense? So I'm using multiple selections. So I'm going to hit save.
Dylan, real quick, after you hit one of those, do you put a space after it?
We'll go back in there. I'll show you that. I'm going to hit update library, and we're going to include the media. Let's go back in there again, Alex. So you just, you just go to the next line, basically, if that makes sense.
Well, some of my next words are adjacent to those and some of them aren't. I can't figure out why. Like on your thing, the handrail for the entry stairs, sometimes my stairs is right up against entry. So it's got to be maybe in my library. I don't have a space where I need to have a space.
Yeah.
I got to go in and
Yeah.
monkey with it.
This is delicate. And the thing that is taking me, this feature we've had for a couple months now, and I have not messed with it in my library much because it's actually really time consuming to make good narrative comments where this works well. I constantly, I'm like, oh, I'll use this for something, and then I'll try to write the narrative. I'm like, it doesn't really work. Like, it's very time consuming. When you figure it out, it's like the greatest joy because sometimes you can get rid of 10 or 20 comments and use one comment, which I just absolutely love. But it can be tricky. So, but you just make the list here, Alex, and just have it go down. I hope that makes sense. Is that helpful, guys, in how you build these little text replacements? So now it reads the graspable handrail for the, and I can open this up, exterior deck and entry.
Now, if you edit it there, is that where you would add, attic or whatever?
That's correct. If you want to modify the existing list, you need to go to it. It's a little tricky to do. It's a little fussy, but you you highlight it, and then once that word is highlighted, and it doesn't have to be a word. You could make whole complete sentences. You could make paragraphs, although it's a little hard to kind of work your way through. But and then just open it back up again, Reed, and you can start putting in new things down here.
What I like too is the WYSIWYG is such that if you run short on time and you don't want to mess with any of this, you can just type it in, and it's not like you have to go to another print screen or anything like that. You can
That's correct.
Put it in.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep, that's right.
Dylan, I got kicked off for a minute, so maybe you said this, and I'm sorry, but if I'm creating a comment and I want to add in these lists, is that still the magic spot, those three little?
Yeah, you could write, you write any new thing you want, and then you could go to any part of it, highlight it, go to here, and start making lists,
Okay.
Now, when you're done, you want to come up here and make sure you either update the library or add it to the library, right? So it's just like any other, it's like putting your illustrations in or anything you do with the library. When you're done, if you want to save it, you want to hit update library.
Right. Okay, cool. That was something else I wanted to learn.
And remember, as Alex was wondering several times here, this is library to be distinguished from template. You do not need to save your template when you're doing these.
Right.
These are associated with the narrative library, not with the ScribeWare template.
And Dylan, I think that you can just click those sections of text. You don't have to highlight them.
You can click them. Hey, Joseph. Joseph, you're here.
Yeah.
How are you, man? Hey, guys, this is Joseph. He's helping us out with coding stuff. So everybody give a big thank you to Joseph. He's helping us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joseph.
Thank you, Joseph.
We really appreciate it.
It's very scary because some of these things we're discussing I worked on. So.
Well, this is awesome. So this is why we need you here, right? So, okay, I update library. Let me bring this up again because now so what Joseph is telling us is that where they're highlighted, you can just click on it. That's awesome. And that brings up the whole list. But you can't edit the list from here, can you?
Yeah, you can.
Right up here.
Yeah, you go up top right.
There you go. So then you edit it. Awesome. That's great.
When you start
so from here, you can edit the list. What is previous?
You're just going back to the.
So because it's remembering groups of lists, basically.
Maybe
It's
the
the
last
two-
ones that you went
It's the
to.
two groups that are in
it's
that.
the two in that narrative. That's pretty cool. Yeah. See, we have so many features. I can't keep track of all this.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So anyway, that's something it's one of the things I need to start working on my template a lot now. Is just use it. That feature, if you really execute it well, I think I could cut my narrative library by like a third if I could really get my act together. There's just so many comments that the hardwood floors are buckling, water damaged, squeaking, you know. But they take a while to kind of author those comments well.
Okay, so real quick,
Mhm.
I'm looking at one of my comments, and in my comments, we just had asterisks where it would link us in our old system to those options. So the concrete porch steps at B, it just says, it just has an asterisk.
Mhm.
How do I make that into, say, location? How do
Okay.
I? Yeah.
All right, so
How
there's
do I
a,
make that
this is what,
asterisk?
yeah, this is what Lisa has. She wants to turn this into one of those. I would just start with building 1. So the concrete steps at the entry are broken, and then highlight it.
Okay.
Joseph, let me know if I'm wrong on this.
Oh, no, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and then go, this is the magic button up here, Lisa.
Okay,
So you got to
got it.
choose one, highlight it. Now look, it's actually the default is it's remembering a list I made with
Okay.
entry in it. So you could then repeat that or add on to it or delete it and start over and make a new list.
Okay. So, okay, cool. I'm so excited, you guys.
I like the way as soon as you highlight it, that option comes up. Just like as soon as you put a picture in, that other little doohickey comes up.
Yeah, I know. I well, you know, the one thing, and Joseph, while we have you on here, if we go into like my bathrooms, I've got millions of these, and I've gotten a little turned around on them. Like this is a really good list that's got a lot of them, and I could even add more. But I feel like I have other lists in my bathroom. I don't know if I'll just stumble upon it.
Fans.
See how this is a different list? You know, it's just not the same. And somehow in my bathrooms, I would really like to, I feel like I have 4 or 5 different lists that are all slightly different. And I don't know, I want to like make sure in my bathrooms, I have one list, you know?
Let's see.
And I don't understand the UI for it. And I kind of don't, you know, and I love this one where I have right side master, left side master. Anyway, but you see how there's slightly different lists, you know? So just while I have you on here, a little sort of bug that I haven't been able to kind of figure out.
Yeah, I've used names of boilers and heating systems in there, and I hear you. Some of the lists are different than others.
Yeah, it's a little confusing to me when the system, I mean, I love that it automatically remembers these lists because in theory, you might, you know, you would have similar, I mean, a bathroom list ought to all be the same in a way, right? I mean, they're all, you know, but for whatever reason, I seem to have multiple lists and they don't seem to talk to each other. And I don't understand how it's confusing to me, the UI for it. Like, how do you build it so that it would be like, in theory, the system would ask you like, oh, you've got 4 lists that are similar. Do you want to merge these lists? You know, I don't know how that would work, but anyway.
Mine isn't working. I'm sad.
What's wrong with it, Lisa?
I can't get that thing you were showing me how to do to where it would give me a list.
You're using this little button up here?
Yeah.
You gotta
I highlight the word entry.
Mm-hmm.
I click that button in the brackets with the 3 lines. It says alternate text options.
Mm-hmm.
It won't let me put anything else in there but entry.
You put your cursor there and everything and then like key down?
Yeah.
Well, send a submit feedback and Joseph will check it out.
Do it again. Maybe do it again just to see if
I've done it 4 or 5 times.
No, I mean Dylan.
Yeah. We'll do it one more time here.
I think that you should be able to hit enter when you're in there to add new options, as long as they're separated by.
Okay, try to add one.
There is a little bug that I have to click it twice to get it in. And then I'm in. I can keep adding stuff.
Oh, okay. when I double clicked, it let me do it.
Yep. I submitted that today, Joseph. I've noted that a couple.
Okay, yeah, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, so play with
Okay,
it on
that
your
works.
end, but it all works fine, but you have to like hit it twice, like to get it to sort of, there's the very first time you put your cursor there, it doesn't seem to like it.
And
Okay.
for the sentences, like those entries can be long, they can be more than one line, as long as each entry is separated by hitting enter or return.
Does that
They'll be
make sense?
distinct.
I mean, you can build like full-blown sentences.
Yeah, no,
Another-
that's, I get that, and it's working if I double click it, so,
Cool.
good.
Another technique I'll use sometimes, I love the highlighting so much. You guys know my favorite examples of specific observations noted during inspection include, and then I'll make all these boilerplate things. I'll sometimes use that and just save that. Oops, I forgot to do it. I'll come up here. No, it's not making it yellow. Maybe I just need to. Do I need more? As I used to do this as an interesting, Joseph, if I add one.
You're barking with your mouth full of lettuce.
I needed to add something. So the way it used to work, Joseph, I didn't even need anything else in the list. And why I actually like nothing else is sometimes I like to have this highlighted just as a reminder that I'm going to add bullets to this, like sort of a trick to remind me that my narrative's not done until I add some bullets to it. That makes sense.
Yeah, I really appreciate the highlighting. I wish it didn't go away.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
I'm actually not sure what the condition is for it.
Well, in a way, you do want the highlighting to go away to some degree because then it lets you know you've actually been there and done it. But sometimes you want it back.
What if it just changed color?
Yeah, that would be cool. It could go to like a green highlight or something. That's a really good idea, Thomas. Yeah. Go from yellow to a green.
Yeah.
Do you guys want me to show you? Do you all know what I mean by the bullets and photo captions feature? Yep. TJ's on that.
Not sure.
Yeah.
I want to see it, but before you do that, can I ask a question? You said when you talked about merging lists, I can think of two where they might appear identical in multiple places. Cardinal direction, north, south, east, west.
Mm-hmm.
Can you write a universal list that you replicate over and over again in every one of these comments?
Well, Joseph, maybe you could speak to the logic of it. I mean, I think the idea, to my understanding, is that when you make a list, if you go make another list with one of the words that was in the first list, it might default to that same list. But we don't have a like user interface where you can like really kind of manage those lists in one place.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that, if that's available. The only thing I've worked on is we added etc. and sentences.
Yep.
So like the logic behind the individual entries, but I don't know where that's stored or how they're related, if they're related.
I think if you start to write, and I could be wrong, but I think if you start to write east and then you highlight that and pull up those three lines, it will pull up the east, southeast, northwest, because it has the east in it.
That's correct. Yep.
I mean, in the comment?
Yeah. So that's like a workaround for you, is that if you have multiple places where you want north, south, east, west, you write east, highlight it, and then go to those three tabs where you can pull out that thing and it will pop up because it's got east in it. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm writing something to so watch, John. I'm just adding a new comment here. The handrail's loose.
I'm watching
at the entry. I come up here. I hit this guy. See how because I had the word entry in, it automatically found a whole list that I had with entry in it.
Okay.
I didn't have to re-enter these. So that's how it's supposed to work. And it works like 80% of the time really well. I've just noticed my bathrooms, for whatever reason, is particularly quirky, where like I seem to have lots of like slightly different lists, and it's probably my fault. But
Are you going to eat your lettuce?
I wish I could somehow merge all my bathroom lists together.
Yeah, those two, cardinal directions, and then also room direction, front, back, left, right.
Yep. Yeah.
Where you would want that list identical as a tool available to you repeatedly everywhere, and trust the tool as being the same.
Once you build it, it'll start remembering that, so that if you once you build it once, if you go author a new comment and you go to put one in and you have north in there, it should remember it and make that whole list for you so that you'll have it.
Okay, save you all the typing. Got it.
Now it's possible, we've even bounced the idea around of like, there are certain universal ones, like anytime you use the word north, south, east, or west, and the northeast, southeast, all those, in theory, anytime that word is used at any point in a narrative, I suppose it could auto build that list, right? And then you could always sort of have that available. So right now you have to manually kind of create that list, but I mean, there's certain things like anytime you use the word building in a narrative, I don't know, it could be building, house, home, apartment, condominium, unit. I mean, you might want all of those available in any given narrative. We haven't implemented that yet. I mean, sometimes these automated things seem great and then create more complexity than you want. So we're trying not to build more complexity than we need to into it.
So I have a little nitpicky thing. Your groovy thing you showed at the beginning where you have save template over there on the left and it says the name of the report you're writing at the top. Mine doesn't have that. And I've done all my upgrades or updates rather.
It's probably because I'm on the alpha channel up here. So I'm on the experimental one, Lisa. We're trying to spare you from torture.
Trying to spare Steve from all my emails.
Yeah.
Okay, no, it's coming. You're saying it's coming.
I experience more problems than you do because of this, and we don't want to expose
as well. You should.
That's right. So, but that means it's coming, and it's certainly possible some of you don't have some of these latest things, but
I like it.
This is all trending in your direction rapidly.
And Dylan, if you just as an aside, if you're missing like the name meetup, but the address is in there, then that'll show up. And then if you're missing both of them, then it'll just say report.
I love that you added that. It's just
the logic.
I don't know. Sometimes I'm working on a bunch of different reports and I can't even remember which one I'm working in. And now it'll have the client name or the address automatically up here.
I like it.
That. Great new feature, and I love having the save template right here.
Yes, that's awesome because
much better. Thank you.
I didn't even know about save template, that little floppy disk. I hadn't even.
Yeah,
it's so small until Steve pointed it out and was like, "We're gonna make a button for that."
I had one of my poor inspectors did a whole lot of work. He thought he did a whole lot of work on the template. And he actually did a whole lot of work on that report, but he didn't ever know about that save.
Yeah, he just got to save the template.
So he lost all the work that he'd done.
So let's cycle back to template. I just wanted to finish some thoughts on template. So right now, if you are in the roofing thing and you make some improvements to your roofing template, let's say you're working on a live report. Let me bring one up. Let me bring up a live report I did the other day. This one was kind of a nightmare. It was just, it's like one of these huge houses, right? So if you look at my, if you look at all my chapters and sections, see, I have like second floor powder bathroom, second floor family bathroom. I have all these kind of weird things laid out here. And somebody mute your mic, please, if you got people talking. Thank you. So anyway, if I were to do, because this is a live report, if I were to do a bunch of work to my template and I hit save template, I'm going to pick up all of this language that I changed on my chapters and sections. So when I make a new report, this is what my bathrooms will look like. I'll have upstairs garage, laundry facilities, spa bathroom, a bunch of things that I don't necessarily want in my default template. Does that make sense? So when you hit the save template, it's saving all of this stuff. So it's why our advice when you're working on your template is to put start a new report and put it out in the future. You can see mine at the moment is March 8th, 2063 template.
You're gonna be an old man then.
Yeah, that's right. Hopefully not still doing home inspections. This is a blank template, and it's essentially just a blank report. But because when I hit save template, it's saving all of this stuff, I want to have a blank one that I'm doing my template construction with. Now, that is not true of your narrative library. Your narrative library can be saved to the library while you're working on live reports, and it's just fine and easy. So again, the narrative library is a really different animal than the report template. We got that? I know that's a little confusing, but once you get your head around that, it's helpful. I'm constantly updating library entries all the time, but my report template, I try to only work on specifically when I want to work on my template. Now, let me tell you about, I don't know if Joseph's still on here. Yeah. Some things that I think have in the works, and you may not even know about this yet, Joseph, but Steve and I have been talking about it, is trying to be able to save template by section. So that way, if I, built a new oil storage section, I could just save that part of the template. The reason that would be great is A, you could work on your templates while you're doing live reports and not mess up your entire template. And B, if you start, Richard, building commercial templates, you could start with a blank template and start borrowing completed sections from your existing residential template and essentially copying and pasting, like moving them over into other templates, if that makes sense. So it will really kind of open the door and be a bonanza for being able to make multiple templates and share between sections between templates. Because you think about it, if you write the perfect bathroom chapter, there's no reason in the world not to share that with any template you might want, right? I mean, every bathroom is, commercial buildings have bathrooms, residences have bathrooms. So that's what we're working towards. We're going to be a little ways out on that. We got a couple projects ahead of that, but.
So once you arrive on site, you could figure out what those main areas are, and you can draw for that particular type of building.
Well, so Blaine, that's how it currently works. I mean, this is what I love about the default template. It's like I can use it for anything. So let's go home. I'm going to create a new Orca residential template. And let's say I'm doing a fourplex. So we'll let the chapters come in here. I can go to kitchen and I can come up to these three dots and I can hit copy chapter. And I can hit copy chapter. I can hit copy chapter. And didn't copy it. Oh, there it goes.
There it is.
There we go. Oh, no, it's doing it. There's a little lag in it. So now I got five kitchens. So anyway, I could delete one of them. And then I can rename all these, right? So kitchen unit number 1. And I would, you can actually do all this on the mobile app, so you can do it on the fly. But if you have like, something as different as a fourplex or whatever, I might get this all built out before I showed up. And if you do that, the mobile app, once you bring up the mobile app, it'll see all the changes you've made in that template, so you'll have it all. But if you get a kind of crazy, commercial building or sixplexes or whatever, my advice would be to start a template and start like kind of molding the chapters, at least getting you close to what you need. But it's really nice when you're on the mobile app, you can add chapters, sections, rename them and stuff. So it's incredibly malleable to be able to fit any building like a glove. I had a house the other day with like 4 decks and 2 balconies and like, I just kept adding them.
If you're working in a report and you want to add that stuff, but you don't want it to be in future templates, just don't hit save template.
That's exactly it, Alex. Just don't hit save template. That's exactly it.
I've made that mistake a few times.
Yeah, sorry, Richie. I know it's I don't know. It's just one of these like
just learn. Yeah. I mean,
it's hard to like. it is incredibly complicated making something that everybody can customize and make in their own way. It's just amazing how much thought we've had to put into it. And anyway, we're still trending in some ways that I think will help improve our ability to make templates and multiple templates and stuff. So cool, guys.
I think it's a great product. Thank you, Dylan.
Oh yeah, thanks, Richie. We appreciate all your guys' support.
Yeah, I think it's great, Dylan, and I talked to you about this privately, but if you like held a 1 or 2 day conference, not conference, but training session somewhere, even in Seattle, I would pay to attend it because I think that going through this stuff is great. But for me, I think maybe Lisa was doing the same thing. For me to look at it and then go and edit my own thing, that's how I'm going to learn it best. So to have 5 minutes, 10 minutes after you say something built in where we can then work on it and then come back, I think would be huge for me.
Idea. I wonder if we blocked out like exactly what you're saying, but is there a reason you couldn't do it via Zoom, but just everybody blocks out like 2 days of their time?
No, you would have to learn how to slow down, give us time to practice.
Well, no, I mean, we could do something like this and then we could all log back on in like 3 hours or something.
Oh.
You could like play with it, start doing a bunch of things, and then like we'd come back and see what questions you have, what you broke, how you broke it, what doesn't work now. Put your things back together again, and then we, you see what I'm saying? Like we could, if we just simply blocked out a couple of days of our time, we could probably like keep coming back and meeting throughout a day. I could certainly use 2 days to try to fix my template. I mean, I haven't taken that kind of time off for that in a long time.
It's pretty much all I'm doing these days, hour after hour.
Yeah. Good for you, Lisa. That's great.
My work ethic is focus for an hour on ScribeWare and then take a half hour to stretch and eat and go for a walk and then come back and focus for an hour and then
it's hard. I mean,
I'm getting it done, baby.
It takes a lot of concentration. I mean, I can only really approach it for certain amounts of time every day because it's just it is tiring. But boy, that work you put into your template, I mean, it just, you just start eking speed out of the thing where you're just going super fast and writing great reports,
Well, I was talking to somebody at home office. Just so you guys know what I'm talking about, I'm in a Amerispec franchise. I was talking to somebody at home office and they want all the owners to use the same reporting software. And I said, well, then you better switch to ScribeWare because I'm not leaving. You want universal? Follow me.
That's great.
Lisa, can you call my dad? He works with Amerispec and he is.
Oh, nigga. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome.
I pulled away from him. I went independent, but he's funny about his software.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great stuff.
I appreciate it, guys. We appreciate your support. I think this has been an awesome meeting because I think this has been good. I'm going to record this if you guys are cool with it. I hope I've recorded it.
Yes. Please make sure I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put it up. If you haven't, you can join the Scribers forum or just like our YouTube channel. But that tends to be where I put these videos up so that it's just you can get it again. And like I said in the beginning, feel free to reach out if you guys would like to schedule another one of these. I'm happy to do it. 2 weeks is a good lead time for me. And Joseph, you're so awesome to be on here. I think it was great. You could kind of see some faces and see what.
Yeah, and there's so many parts of the software that I'm still learning, and it's great for me to attend these because things come up that never even occur to me to think about. So,
well, you're very brave.
Before you go, I have a quick question.
Sure.
I don't have a lot of the features that Dylan was using, and I noticed that my version is 5.3912, and it says to update, and I hit update and update, but it doesn't actually update, and it looks like the latest version is 5.61.
Yeah, you should be up much higher than that. When you hit update, I mean, you could hit a submit feedback again just to make sure, and then Joseph could look at your logs and see what's going on, but I can't show you what updating is like because I don't have an update here, but usually there's several different buttons you need to push, TJ. So when you hit update, and then there'll be like another button down here. So you should end up clicking 2 or 3 different things by the time you've completed the update.
You didn't your lettuce.
So maybe you're just missing, they're not huge. There's like a little window that pops up down low and another
Yeah,
one.
it says update, and then I click on it, and then it has a little bar and it looks like it's updating, then it goes away.
Down at the bottom right, there will be a box that says to update it now.
And I'm on a Mac, if that's that.
Oh,
yeah, that could have an impact on it, but I suspect that is just you're not hitting a few of the buttons.
Do you want your lettuce?
But maybe I'm wrong. Do you want to share your screen with us and just show us?
Well, I'm zooming on my iPad. Oh, actually, hold on. I'm doing it on my computer and zooming on my iPad. Let me.
It's so weird, these like out of body experiences. For me, it's such a trip when I start trying to do the mobile app on Zoom.
Do you see? So okay. I'm opening it now.
Yep. You didn't line up for the lettuce, but not this lettuce.
I guess I could flip my screen, couldn't I?
There you go. Nice.
So here it says.
Yeah, so hit that
update.
One. Update it now.
And that's all it does.
No,
and then it
look down low. Look at the lower right corner somewhere.
Do I need to scroll down? Yeah, there's nothing.
Huh.
Yeah, I always have to click at least 2 or 3 other things before it's actually done.
Alex, you're on a Mac, aren't you?
I'm on a Mac, yeah, and I just hit download and I just hit upload. I mean, whatever,
update.
Update, and it's, I got that bar going across and it's working. I don't see.
Did you check your version? Because it looks like it updated, but then when I go check my version, it's still the 5.39.
Yeah, what version are you on, Alex?
How do I check that?
It's just at the upper left corner.
Of the home?
Of home screen, yeah. See it mine? Oh yeah. You see it at the top of mine. You guys still seeing my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Just above home, it should say ScribeWare 5.613.
No, I don't have that.
So if you can see my screen under window, click on that, and then it'll tell you the ScribeWare right there.
It's possible that the Mac is like a different number. I don't know.
I have 5.613.
Yeah, so somehow TJ's is not updating. Hey TJ, will you do me a favor and hit submit feedback and just let Steve know?
Sure.
Mine's not updated either. I'm 56111.
Yeah, I mean it's possible. This is stuff for Steve. I don't really know. I don't understand how any of this works. But you should be, when you see I'm concerned with TJ's because when you hit update, it ought to update to the latest one. So I don't know what's going on, but that all looks different to me because it's on a Mac and I just don't use those. So it ought to be working fine though. Alex is on a newer one, and Blaine, I don't know. It's possible that not everybody is on this exact one that I'm on because I'm on the alpha channel. So I don't know where we're at with like the exact numbers. But as long as things seem to be updating, everything should be working fine for you. TJ seems like the exception where, for whatever reason, it's not getting the update. I don't understand that, TJ. Sorry about that.
Mine sort of stopped at the end of the bar. Oh no, there it goes. So if I go to window, it still says 5.61.3.
Yeah,
oh, no.
5.
ScribeWare will be updated next time it starts. Or I can hit update now. Do you get that?
Yeah, see, that's exactly it, Alex. It's the update now. And I didn't see that popping up on your screen, TJ.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
Yeah. Maybe when you hit the submit feedback, let Steve know what machine you're using. That might help him see what's going on.
Yeah, and I wish I could speak to that, but I don't have. I don't know even what the current version is. I only have the development version.
Yeah, you're sort of on the back end.
Yeah, I don't have
back end with me.
Well, I'm all cut up and it's 5.61.11. I don't know if that's
and I think that's what Blaine said he was on, and that wouldn't surprise me if that's what everybody's on. Again, I'm on an alpha channel, so I'm a couple updates ahead of everybody because I'm trying to work the kinks out.
Yeah. I just updated and it went to 11.
Okay.
That must be
That's what I'm running.
Isn't that from Spinal Tap?
Yes.
This one goes to 11. Cool, guys. Well, any other questions that I can help with today?
Dylan, I had a thought on the alternative text options.
Yep.
So I think those options are specific to each selection of text. That's why you can have different options for different instances of the word bathroom. So if you go and like find a new instance of bathroom, it'll offer up the most recent options that you had.
This was, I think, what we were testing. So I have one here, and my list is.
So yeah, you'll have a certain list there, and then if you modified this list on a different instance of laundry later, then this instance would not update because it's specific to each selection. But if you then found like another instance of laundry, it'll recommend the latest list that you used.
Okay.
And you can use it or not use it, but.
Yeah, you see how these lists are different. I just wish I could merge them in some way. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. We can.
Yeah. There's no good way to do that right now.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I mean, and honestly, it works pretty great for the most part. The bathrooms is the only place that seems to drive me a little bit crazy. I don't quite understand.
Yeah, unless you manually went to each one and set them the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then didn't change them.
I think the key is setting them fairly generic.
Yes,
and simple,
exactly.
And then leaving them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's my problem is, part of my problem is I'm always on the leading edge of all these new things, and I play with something and then it changes a little and I play with it again. And so, that doesn't help my organization of it. But.
And Dylan, one more thing that we sort of touched on in the library. So there's one more way or two more ways to add new categories, and that's on the copy and move. So that's the, where you're at right now, that's the like standard way to do it. But if you're going to copy or move an entry, before you do, you can also, so if you hit copy or move, you also have that option to add a new category there as well at the bottom left.
Oh, I gotcha. You can add, that makes sense, guys?
No.
So let's say, let's see, where are we? Hatch, weather stripping. So we're in the attic, it looks like. And let's say you were building, Lisa, a new section in your report called garage attic access.
Okay.
And you wanted to share a bunch of these. So we're going to check them.
Mm-hmm.
They turn green, right?
Oh.
And then I'm not going to move them. I'm going to copy them.
Okay.
And I hit that. It's saying library category. Well, I haven't built a new library category for garage attic. So I'm going to come under here. I'm going to write garage attic. And then hit add library category. And then hit OK. Mm-hmm. And I have now shared those first three comments.
Oh, that is very hip. Okay.
And we'll go find that now. Under garage attic, there's three entries.
And we talked about how, so these entries, they are ranked by like usage, how often you use them. Mm-hmm. When you move an entry, those entries keep their ranking in terms of how often they're used. But if you do a copy, the new version is set to as if it's never been used because it's like a new instance. Mm-hmm. So the copied version won't have that priority in terms of ranking. Mm-hmm. But a moved entry will retain its ranking.
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And then I can go and delete that garage attic now. So garage attic, I can highlight that, delete.
This cannot be undone. I love that.
Yeah. Cool, guys. Well, fun meetup. I think we were able to really unpack a lot of template stuff. So was that helpful, Alex? Is that going to keep you moving?
It's very helpful. Yeah, I'm just gonna. Yeah, it's very helpful.
Awesome. And I do like your idea of like trying to schedule like a 2-day thing somewhere. I'm happy to do it. We need to get our heads around when to do it.
You know, a lot of companies do something before the ASHI National Conference, or a day after. I would certainly stay this coming January, wherever it is, to do some training on it.
That'd be a good idea. I think it's down in Florida this year.
It is. Yeah, it's in Orlando.
Yeah, I'll reach out to him. I've called Ashley National like 3 times and nobody ever calls me back. So I don't know what's going on with them, but anyway. All right, guys.
Is anybody on this call on the sort of northeast New Englandy area from Delaware up?
We had a couple New Jersey and a Pennsylvania. I think that was as close as we got to you.
Okay. Because I meet with them and do it, you know, just a day of sitting together. When I first started with HomeGauge, there was a group of ASHI inspectors right in my neighborhood, and we all got together for a day and just hammered out stuff, and it was really, really helppful.
Yeah. It'd be cool. We could get you hooked up. Who's the guy that was president of ASHI out there? He's been wanting to move his stuff over to ScribeWare, but he like bought a house. Mike Atwell.
Yeah, but he.
He's really butchering things too. I mean, he's doing a lot of different stuff with it. But anyway. All right, guys, I should probably get going. But thanks for your time, TJ. I'm sorry about those updates. So send that feedback and let's try to get you that update as soon as we can. Try to get that sorted out for you.
Thanks, Dylan. Thanks, Joseph.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you both.
Take care, guys. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye.